Can you bring us up to date on what you understand to be happening on the ground right now?
Well, Trevor, let's start with what happened yesterday. Yesterday morning, we all woke up here in Israel to a nightmare. London is a city that is experienced with terror attacks. There was the London Bridge attack. Manchester had the Manchester Arena attack. But multiply all those terror attacks to the big numbers that created over 1,000 Israelis in hospitals, 300 Israelis brutally, barbarically murdered in cold blood by Hamas terrorists that planned in the most calculated way to invade Israel from the air, from the ground, and from the sea, and created the hardest day Israelis ever experienced in their lifetime. I was there. I must say, I experienced many terror attacks. This is not another terror attack. This is a situation where people couldn't be safe in their own homes. Cities were invaded. We're talking about terrorists going from one house to another and brutally targeting children. We're talking about young children being taken away from their parents to Gaza, young women that we saw the videos. Trevor, I don't know how much you've seen from all those clips being on social media yesterday from elderly people, people with dementia that were hijacked or taken hostage to Gaza by Hamas terrorists. And this is the reality that Israelis woke up into yesterday. And this is the time of every country to defend itself, and to the international community to support Israel's right to defend its children, women, and elderly that were targeted yesterday by Hamas.
We have indeed been watching some of what we've been able to show. As you might imagine, we haven't been able to show everything that has been seen by Sky's reporters, but it is indeed horrific. We understand this morning that rockets have been fired at the other end of Israel by Hezbollah. What do you think is happening there? Is this coordinated? Is this a new front?
Well, first of all, we are ready to the North Front. Yesterday, both the Prime Minister and the Defense Minister were preparing our army troops to be ready to both fronts of Israel, South and North. But at the moment, the main war is with Hamas. So Hamas sponsored and been a proxy of Iran, make a big mistake yesterday by getting into Israeli cities and villages and taking over 100 people hijacked to Gaza Strip. And our first and main responsibility is to bring back these people alive. Most of them are young kids. Some of them are elderly people, as I mentioned before, and we are talking about people that families are torn apart from this horrific events yesterday. One of the things I want to say is that Israel's duty here to defend its people is something that all the international community must respect. And we've seen Prime Minister Sunak support Israel yesterday. We've seen President Biden's declaration that the US stands with Israel. And we need to make sure that no matter how long this war takes, the international community understands that Israel doesn't have another choice. We need to defend our children and people.
I want to come to the international community in a moment, but I just want to ask you about Israel's immediate response today. Can we expect, I know you can't talk to us about the military details, but can we expect to see Israeli Defense Force troops in Gaza, which I think would be the first time in nearly a decade that that's happened?
I'm not getting into the military tactics. I would like to say what are the main aims of this war, and it's a war. I mean, you need to understand, many people are saying, well, the Israelis are fighting again. No, it's a new level. It's another scale. We never experienced a situation where main cities in Israel, in the south part of Israel. Think about Bristol here in the UK being taken over, invaded by terrorists, and the terrorists walking from one house to another. I've seen yesterday sights I've never seen as Israeli. I've seen mothers crying when their children being taken away from them. I've seen this father that lost connection to his wife and his daughters, and he realized by calling and identifying his phone is being hijacked and taken to Gaza. So we are talking about situations where terrorists walked into the living room of people in Israel and started targeting families one by one, and those families felt they're being butchered by this horrible, horrific Hamas terrorists. And this is the situation where we need to make sure it will never happen again, and the infrastructure of Hamas will be totally, totally destroyed.
Ambassador, when you say you are at war, this suggests something more than a policing action. What exactly will that mean? And what would be your war aims here? Is this the end of the arrangement between Israel and Gaza's self-governing proposition?
Well, from 2005, Israel left Gaza Strip. So the Palestinians got their 100% ability to control the Gaza Strip. Unfortunately, instead of using all the international support to build a flourishing city, we've seen Hamas terror organization using and abusing all this support to create a terror city, to create evil city, and to create a place that the only thing they want to achieve is to destroy Israel and to kill innocent people in Israel. And this is the reason why our first aim is, first of all, to bring back those people that have been taken hostage. We're talking over 100 people that are hostage at the moment in Gaza Strip, and Israeli families don't know where they are. And I've seen the horrible photographs and the videos coming from those people being taken to Gaza. And this is our duty to our people. And the second thing, of course, is to make sure Hamas will never commit those crimes again.
Ambassador, it wouldn't just be the leaders of Hamas who would say what I'm about to put to you. They would say, of course, since 2005, there's been formal, if you like, autonomy for Gaza. But in truth, access to and from Gaza, trade in and out of Gaza has entirely been controlled by Israel itself. This isn't a separate, independent outfit. And so when you say they failed to build something flourishing, I think some people would ask, actually, it's not entirely their own failure.
Well, absolutely 100% their own failure, because we're talking here about a place that got massive support from the international community, and they built tunnels underneath Gaza. They used all this money to build tunnels to make sure that Israel will be under attack. All those rockets being fired yesterday, we're speaking about over 3,000 rockets. This is what Hamas has done with the power the international community gave them. And I must say again, Israel doesn't want war, but we are in a necessity to a war because we need to protect our children. And I must tell you as a mother that my daughter was asking me yesterday why they want to kill us. And my answer was, you're right, you're a child. It doesn't make sense. But the truth and the reality is those barbaric terrorists want to kill children, and we need to protect them.
Ambassador, one last point quickly. Do you detect the hand of Iran in this?
Absolutely. Iran is backing up Hamas. Iran is destabilizing all the region through its proxies, both Hamas and Hezbollah. And I think the Prime Minister's statement yesterday was clear. We are willing to take a long fighting time in order to defend our people, but we need to make sure that no one will have any motivation to do that again, because Israel is a strong country.
May I just ask one last question, which will be important to our viewers? Many of our viewers will have family in Israel. Do you have any information about the position of British nationals, whether they've been swept up in this in any way?
I know there is one British citizen that is in Gaza at the moment, and I know that Israel is doing everything to make sure all the people being kept hostage at the moment in the hands of Hamas will be released. But it's a long and complicated war, and this is where we need your support in order to make sure that every single civilian that is being taken will be brought back to Israel where they belong. And those horrible war crimes were created yesterday by Hamas by killing innocent people, that this thing will be, make sure that it will never happen again. And this is my message to you today from Israel.
Ambassador, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us this morning.